All right, everybody, welcome back to the Max Sports Connection podcast. I'm your host, Alex the Captain. Thank you so much for tuning in. Plenty of great topics on tap this week as we discuss some MACsketball, some surprising, maybe not some surprising results in conference play, the retirement of MAC legend Nick Saban, the transfer portal, aka college sports free agency, Maction erasure, and some hot eats while you're visiting Bowling Green. All that and more coming up, so stay tuned.
What's up, guys? It's three-time NFL Pro Bowler, all-decade return specialist, Josh Cribbs. I want to welcome you to the MACsk Sports Connection podcast, where Alex hosts the Mid-American Conference Best.
Welcome back, everyone, and thanks for listening. This week, I have Jules, or as you might know her on social media, Not So Cool Jules, a Bowling Green graduate, a Falcon Fanatic, and the famed sign girl who more often than not hopes that both teams just have fun. Jules, thank you so much for joining me this week.
Hello, and thank you for having me. I'm terrible with intros, so I hope this isn't too bad.
Hey, no, you're great. I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to come join me. Well, like I mentioned, you're a Bowling Green grad, so talk about being a BG fan, talk about some of the games you've attended. You've witnessed some really special things live, not just in football, but probably more so in basketball and some other sports. And let's just take a quick trip down memory lane. Give me your favorite Bowling Green sports memory.
Okay. Do I have to be there? Or I can name some in general that I can think of.
This is all you. So whatever you
Okay.
whatever you
I
have as a
think
core memory.
a core memory, I mean, I have to go back and I always will. And I tweet about it probably randomly once every few months
Hmm.
about when Bowling Green, my Falcon football team, beat the Minnesota Gophers. They went there on their homecoming, right? And won 14-10. And I was not there. And I'm starting to think maybe I'm the problem because I will talk about it when it comes to my signs as well. But I was actually at a Reds game, ironically enough. I know that doesn't really surprise anyone if you follow me. And I was actually pre-gaming a Reds game technically, and we were all watching like around my phone, like watching the Bowling Green Falcons beat Minnesota. I will never forget it. It was the coolest thing ever. I had a heyday on Twitter that day because everyone's like, "You're the only Bowling Green fan I know," and I'm like, "There's more," but it was so fun, and I bring it up literally all the time. And they had a rematch with them a month ago.
Yep, the Quick Lane Bowl up in Detroit, December 26th.
Yeah. Yeah, they did. It's my Roman Empire. So of course I attended the
Of
Quick
course.
Lane. Once again, we don't have to talk about the score, okay? You know,
We're not going to, don't worry.
It's really hard to win when the refs are against you. Okay, we don't have to talk about it.
We're not going to talk about that one. We'll just go ahead and skip out of that. You mentioned your signs. I think I brought it up right off the rip. You've had some iconic signs over the years. The one I mentioned, of course, the I hope both teams just have fun wearing your
Yeah.
Cleveland Indians bucket or Cleveland Guardians bucket hat and your Cincinnati Reds jersey. And you're holding this sign on national TV. It says, "I hope both teams just have fun." Talk about some of your other iconic signs before we get into the rest of today's topics.
Yeah, so obviously that sign kind of started off. I did not expect it to go off the way it did. It was like on Reddit, on like sports Instagram pages. So I of course, rode that viral wave and continued it. Actually, funny enough, the week after Bowling Green beat Minnesota, they came back home and played Akron. A moment of silence there, real
We
quick.
we don't need to talk
So
about that one either.
we don't have to talk about the final score. My sign, my very first Bowling Green sign uh was I hope Akron doesn't have fun. Well, folks, I would say objectively that Akron may have had fun. And they also had fun with me on Twitter because not only did their Barstool page tag me because of that picture of me and my sign. I can't remember if we like posted that pregame or something. I don't remember. But their like football team's page came at me too, like jokingly, like all good banter after the game, of course. And like their score graphic was like, yeah, we had lots of fun or something like that. And I was just like, man,
That's
not only
amazing.
did my team lose, but I'm losing too. And then I tried the ratio of the Barstool account, didn't work out. So
I
we're
was
not
gonna
going to
say
talk about
it's
that.
it's hard to ratio a Barstool account.
Man, that was so unfair. I was so on top for a second there, and then like it just didn't work out for me. So after that, even though they lost and Akron had tons of fun, I had fun. I will say that. I can't, no, it was the next game. The next game that I went to, I believe it was, I put BG by a million. That is the
Yep,
really
I've
genius
seen that one from you.
sign I had. And I'm pretty sure though, who did they play? I think they played Eastern Michigan, and I could be wrong, but it might have been homecoming or family weekend, one of the two, because I know the tailgates were popping.
Sure.
Let's just say two things. I won fan of the game, so I got $50 like cash. I was like, cool. We lost by a lot. And I
A
almost
common
died.
theme for BG football during your undergraduate career.
Hey, I almost died that game, so like, I would die for Bowling Green football. I did something really stupid. I may have pre-gamed a little bit, as you do in college at tailgates, and I decided that it would be smart for me to get on somebody's shoulders, my friend's shoulders, in the front row, and like you've been there before, like where the students it's like cement here, and there's just like a wall, and there's just kind of like drop off a little bit. It's not too crazy, but I started falling forward. And everybody like grabbed me back, and I was like, they're like, why did you lean forward? I said I was gonna fall. And like, so you leaned forward? I was like, no, I was already falling. So I almost died that game too. And then I'm pretty sure that I was supposed to go to a hockey game that day and a volleyball game that day, and that did not happen. But Bowling Green, it was a fun game despite the score and despite a lot of things. I did win $50, and according to my Instagram caption from that sign, I got a t-shirt.
Hey, well, there you go. It's as a college student, you cannot argue t-shirts and winning $50.
Awesome. That was awesome. Sometimes they gave out free pizza too. Like they knew how to get me there. They knew exactly what they're doing.
They know what college kids want. That's what they go to school for, to figure out what do college kids want.
Yeah. Do you want to know my signs for the Toledo game?
I would love to know one of your signs for the Toledo game.
Oh God. So I made like 10.
You get to pick one.
Okay, one of my signs. Oh man, I have two really good ones.
Okay, fine. I'll let you do two.
Okay,
then that's
I
it.
got you. Okay. One says Toledo fans would hate this sign if they could read. And the other one, it was a night game, of course, because midweek action. And the other one was a picture of SpongeBob doing the at night thing, beating the Rockets at night.
Yep.
We got beat. So
yep.
I'm just gonna think my signs are the issue. And that's why we kept
your losing. Signs might be the issue, Jules.
Oh yeah, 100%. Every time I brought a sign, they lost. Not every time. One against Ohio, but that doesn't matter.
Fair enough. Well, let's big shout out to you again thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate you taking your time out to talk some action really with me, giving your perspective as a BG fan, just kind of things you've seen around the league. So let's just dive into basketball. Let's dive into the women first. Lots of things are happening on the women's side. We've got Ball State and Toledo both sitting at 5-0. They are gearing up for an epic battle of first place teams in Muncie on Sunday. Allie Becky from Ball State just dropped 36 points in her game against Central Michigan yesterday, and Sophia Wired dropped 40 in her game against Kent State yesterday. These two teams are clicking right now. They are a combined 27-5.
I believe it.
Unreal right now. But right behind them, you've got Bowling Green sitting at 4-1 in conference play, 10-5 on the season. I've been impressed with this Bowling Green team. They have looked good. They did lose to Ball State last week, 76-61. But this is a Bowling Green team who really, despite the loss of Coach Robin Freilich, despite replacing 5 starters, they look to be clicking and clicking at the right time, especially as we head into conference play.
Oh, yeah. I'm honestly pretty, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm shocked by any means, but they do have a lot of injuries. Obviously, you know about Lexi Fleming, but there's a few other key people missing as well. But despite that, there's been people really stepping up. And I personally, I love that for me. Erica Porter, the last game went 10 from 11 from the field, and she had a game high of 24 points.
Yep.
We love to see that. Amy Velasco, I believe, had 16 points. I mean, everyone's stepping up at the right time. And that's why I think I saw in an article the other day, somebody was like, you know, honestly, it's about toughness. And I believe it was their coach saying that. I could be wrong, so I don't want to quote the wrong thing. But I mean, that is what it is. I mean, they stepped up despite all odds, despite losing their leading scorer of the season. I mean, I can't complain. I think that the women's side is really fascinating to me because like Ball State and Toledo, I feel like it could go either way. Although I'm kind of favoring Toledo for that. I mean, they're both so fun to watch, man. They're so fun to watch. And I'm so hurt. I am so hurt that Lexi Fleming is out. I love watching her play like so much.
Yep.
I saw them play when they were here against Xavier. Of course, I had to go.
Sure.
And they looked good. It was a little too close for my liking in the first half, but then we pulled away and Lexi, of course, went off. So
73-64 in that Xavier game. That was a good game for the Falcons.
Oh, yeah. And Xavier couldn't seem to miss shots. Honestly, despite their record, Xavier's record, I think they only have like 2 or 3 wins. Like, they're not that bad. Like, I was honestly impressed, and I was like, please don't lose. I just have beef with Xavier, so I'm not trying to lose to them. I have beef with Xavier and Toledo. It's okay. It's okay.
You know, and we're talking more about this Bowling Green team. I saw a quote. You talked about your quote that you read. I saw a quote yesterday from Coach Keimel about this team, or Coach Shamel, I believe. I think that's how it's pronounced. So I apologize to Coach if you're listening. Where he talked about this team needs to come together as a unit, and they've been working so hard outside of practice, outside of basketball activities. So they hang out, they spend time together, they go to dinner together. They are just really interacting and things are gelling. When you look at this schedule, they had 3 ranked opponents that they played, 2 of them in the top 5, Iowa, South Carolina, and then number 16, Indiana. This is unreal.
Oh, yeah. They really took the strength of schedule thing serious. And I think that definitely benefits them. I believe, and I could be wrong on this, but I believe I saw it somewhere when they did play South Carolina. And I know I talked to you about that and my opinion on it, but they did hold them to the lowest amount of scoring that they've had this season. Obviously, South Carolina has pretty much dominated every game they played, even up to this point. I think there's very few that they've won, like, where it was kind of close, and to me, kind of close is like 15 to 20 points with them, because like no one seems to be coming within that. And hey, we didn't get absolutely destroyed, so that's a win in my book.
You held them. I think what it actually was is you played them closer than any non-conference opponent.
It was
played them on the year. Because they beat South Dakota State by 40. They beat Clemson by almost 70.
God.
109-40. Duke, a non-conference opponent, but a big rivalry, 77-61. But yeah, you guys kept pace with them pretty well. I think actually, you guys were one of the higher scoring teams against them to start the year. So yeah, you guys played them really well. They are currently 16-0 in not only, just their overall record, but they're currently 4-0 in the Southeast Conference. I mean, it's South Carolina. They're a tough team, obviously.
They're so good.
They're fantastic. But, you look further down this list, Kent State, they're sitting right up there with Bowling Green, tied for 3rd at 4-1. Kent State, also a quality team. They had a nice little run in the WNIT last year. Bowling Green made it to the Fab Four. a year ago in
Oh
the
yeah.
WNIT.
Oh yeah.
Had a great run there. You've got Buffalo, who under Becky Burke, this is her second year. This is a program that I'm really excited to see kind of take off this year. I've had a chance to speak with Becky Burke. She was really excited this past offseason about the players she was bringing in. When she took over, she only had one returning starter. Um, and I think maybe two locker room girls at all. So like she was truly starting over this program. And I think she's done a great job. They almost beat Toledo in the MAC tournament a year ago. They actually took them to overtime to force Toledo to grind it out in that fifth quarter. Eastern Michigan, they're struggling. They're sitting at 5-10 on the year, 2-3 in conference play. Northern Illinois, Lisa Carlson, she's getting this program turned around. They have been such a mess for so long. She's slowly starting to right this ship. They're sitting at 2-3 in conference play. I'm very surprised, and I think you and I texted about this. I'm very surprised to see Central Michigan 2 and
Oh yeah.
12 on the year, 1-4 in conference play, a traditional staple in the Mid-American Conference. And they finally snapped their losing streak with a win against Eastern Michigan 2 nights ago, or a couple nights ago, and then promptly laid an egg against Ball State this week.
Weren't they just in the NCAA tournament like a year or two ago?
They've been in it pretty recently. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
this
I
is a
was
Central
like, I
Michigan
was
team.
honestly shocked by that too. Because even when I'm researching, obviously I don't have the standings at the top of my head. Like I know like the top five usually. I mean, I pay that
Right.
much attention. But it's like I saw that and I was like, wait, is this right? Like Central Michigan? Because I know they were always good when I went there too. So
Yeah.
that was
Well,
shocking to me.
and then when you look at Central Michigan, they were in the NCAA tournament in 2021,
Yeah.
2019, 2018,
Yeah.
2013. This is a
Crazy.
team who is built on a lot of pride and tradition. And that's just four tournament appearance in the last 10 years. This is a good program, a proud program, lots of conference championships, and it's tough to see. I mean, it just feels like after that 2021 season, they've taken a strong nosedive. 21-22, they went 4-25.
Oh, wow.
Last year, 6-23. Currently 2-12, 1-4 in conference play. It's really odd to see them sitting that low in the standings.
Yeah, that definitely that is really weird. I don't know besides them that anything else really shocks me.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. I'm excited for Sunday. That's when Toledo and Ball State face off, right? And it's here, like in not here, but it's
It's in
at
Muncie.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like not Toledo. I kind of want to go to that. That
I was
sounds
gonna
really
say you're
fun.
you're an hour and a
I
half.
honestly, is it bad that I didn't realize where that was until like a week ago? I thought Ball State was like more like higher up in Indiana. And I was like looking, I'm like trying to, travel plans for football. I want to try to get to more MAC football stadiums, kind of like you. You're my inspiration for that, of course.
You're
And I was
welcome.
just like, oh man, I could go and like watch Bowling Green play there very easily. I really did not realize that. And I'm very mad because Oxford is the same way. It's only like an hour away. And
Hmm.
obviously I went to watch Miami give us the goose egg in football this past season.
Yeah, that
So
was rough.
I went there.
Miami was a good football team this year.
Oh yeah. They're good. They're good. That's really cool. I'm starting to think I'm bad luck. I was 0-3 this year, so it's fine.
You guys have a good
But
you Bowling Green has a good game against Miami actually this week in basketball. And when I
yeah,
say good
that's what
game, I
I've
mean a good
heard.
opportunity for Bowling Green to secure a big win and to stay neck and neck with Toledo because we're going to see a sole possession first place team after Sunday.
Yeah.
It's either going to be Toledo or Ball State, but a Bowling Green win puts them right there in the thick of it,
Yeah.
keeps them just one game back, tie for second. So you've got a big one down there at Millett Hall in Miami or in Oxford, Ohio, at
Oh,
Miami. Um, I think Bowling Green probably takes that one. That's a 1 o'clock tip.
yep.
So you would be able to get over to Muncie after that game if you really wanted to hit up the Toledo BG or
I
Ball State game.
mm, is is that on Saturday? Miami Bowling Green. I'm pretty sure it's Saturday at 1.
That might be a Saturday game. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
I'm
Saturday
pretty sure
game.
it started at 1 and then
Oh, then you
Ball
have plenty of time
played
to get over
Sunday.
to Muncie.
No, I might consider that. I might consider going to Ball State Toledo. I never thought I would go as an away fan for neither team. I
Sure.
guess this
But it's
case, no.
good basketball.
Yeah, it's good basketball, and I got to support the girlies. So I might have to. Who would I take? An unbiased opinion is I'm going to take Toledo. I just think they're better. And why I think they're better is because they've had more impressive wins, in my humble opinion. They beat Michigan, and I feel like we don't talk about that enough.
Dominated
I don't
Michigan
like
too.
Toledo. Yeah, exactly. Not only did they beat Michigan, they dominated them.
They
It
beat
was
it by
not,
almost 30
that's crazy. Because
at
I
Savage
I
Arena.
remember seeing that. Yeah. I was like, beat Michigan away. And Michigan is by no means a bad program. They're a
No,
very good basketball program, and they have been for years. So
I think
I,
that's
I was
likely the staple win of Toledo's season.
oh yeah.
They just that was an unreal victory, and it was so weird because they traveled down to Duke. They lost to Duke, 70-45. They lost at Gonzaga, 91-70 versus Cincinnati at home, 71-60. But then they played Michigan. They won by oh wow, they won by
It was
23
like,
points.
yeah, it was like 20 something.
69-46 in
Yeah.
Savage Arena.
Because I was looking at Toledo and Ball State's schedule, and just to me, and maybe I'm wrong, but Toledo just has had not much stronger of a schedule. And I think obviously that Michigan win helps it. But even if they
Yes.
lost against Michigan, in my opinion, I just think their strength of schedule is better. Ball State and I think they beat Georgia by 1, which is a Power
Yeah.
Five school.
The
That's still
beating Georgia
impressive.
was huge.
Oh yeah, I was like, that's a Power Five school. Like that's impressive, even if I don't know how Georgia's doing in the SEC. I think I checked and it's nothing amazing, but that's still that's a really impressive win for Ball State. I mean, anytime we beat a Power Five school,
That
that's a
well
win.
that weekend Ball State knocked off back-to-back Power 5 opponents. They beat Pitt 73-62 and
Oh
then they
yeah.
turn around and beat Georgia 52-51. And when you look at what Georgia has done this year, they're currently 10-7. They sit at 10th
Yeah.
in the SEC.
Yeah, but
So they do have a winning record. They are 1-3 in conference play, but
yeah.
I mean, it's a win over a Power 5. It's a win over a
Yeah,
big
exactly.
big program, and they did it in back-to-back nights. So I think we're going to really like Ball State's riding a 9-game win streak, and that's not getting talked
Oh
about.
yeah.
9-game winning streak is huge for Ball State.
I think it's the longest one in Division 1 right now, maybe.
It's
Besides,
one of the top besides
yeah,
like South Carolina
I was like,
and
besides
yeah,
South Carolina, the
but it's
obvious.
definitely the longest in the MAC.
Yeah.
Toledo's at a 6-game win streak. Ball State's at a 9, so it's the longest in the MAC for sure.
Oh man, I need y'all to lose. I need Ball
Well,
State to lose.
let's flip over to the men's side real quick and let's kind of dabble in that a little bit. Again, we find Toledo up at the top of the standings at 5-0, sitting there with the Akron Zips
Uh,
with Enrique Freeman. I'm sorry, I think Enrique Freeman needs to be a MAC. Well, we'll probably win the MAC Player of the Year, but he's also should be considered for the Wooden Award.
I may have to agree with that. I'm not as familiar with the men's side. I'm going to be completely honest. I focus more on women, so I think you got that more in depth. But I will say, is it mean to say I'm shocked by my team that I support, Bowling Green? I didn't know they were like that. I mean, they're 13-4.
I am very impressed with this Bowling Green men's
I'm
team.
very impressed too. I love that for them, and it's the best they've had since I believe like 02, 01.
It's been
I
a
mean,
long time
oh,
that they've been this
I,
good.
oh yeah. The last time I remember when I was there and they had like Dylan Fry, which I loved watching him play. He was really
That's a
good. Like,
throwback name.
oh
Wow.
yeah. Oh, I love that era, man. And I only got to see, I think, like 1 or 2 years of him. Shout out
Yeah.
COVID. I can't remember. I think he might have graduated before that all happened, but that was a fun year. I mean, that year and one of my favorite live moments that I of course didn't mention is when we beat Buffalo and they were ranked. I
Yeah.
think that was 2019. That would have been my freshman year. And that was a lot of fun. We stormed the court and everything. I loved that. And that no, we got screwed because the one year the the MAC tournament got canceled. And I
Yeah.
think that's the year we would have made it into the tournament for
That
real.
was the COVID season. Yeah, you guys actually had a
Yep.
pretty strong team that
We
year.
were we were good. And I'm still mad about that. That just reminded me of that. Like I can talk to you all day about that season, man. It was so fun. And
Well,
then like
and I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, Bowling Green that year went 14 and 12 in
yeah,
the 2020 2021. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. Let's go back another year. Uh
2019,
yeah,
2020.
2019 2020, 21 and 10. They were 12 and 6 in conference play. They were second in
Oh,
the East Division. And looking at how records are sitting, they would have been the 2 seed
yeah.
in the tournament.
And I'm pretty sure, and I could be wrong,
Yeah, they
obviously.
were the
I,
2
I
seed.
have a bad memory, I will say that. But I think they were also just like heating up at the right time as well towards the end of the season. I mean, they had a lot of impressive wins, in my opinion. And it's just
So
like
they
it was
actually lost
so
3 straight to close the
oh,
season.
never mind. Well, they did something that made me think they would get there.
Well, they had an impressive run in
I
the
was
middle of
like,
the
they
regular
definitely
season.
10 losses in that at all.
Yeah,
That's
no, they
I
looked
love
really
that.
good that year. Yeah, just looking
So for
closer,
the last three.
this is a really good Bowling Green team from that season. They did again, they were slated actually ironically enough to play Toledo in the 2v7 in the quarterfinals at the MAC tournament, and that obviously did not happen. But I mean, that team, slowly took a nosedive from there. Michael Huger, I think he did the best he could. I think the
Yeah.
pandemic really hurt a lot of programs. I think there were opportunities for programs to succeed through the pandemic, but I think that really hurt him and the program.
Yeah.
Some teams recovered, some didn't. But looking at the team right now, they're at third place in the conference at 4-1, 13-4, tied with Western Michigan for third. I don't want to get my hopes too high for this Bowling Green team, but I'm very impressed with what they've been doing this year.
Yeah, same. Their only losses to Akron, and as we know, Akron is pretty damn good. It seems like year in, year out, at
Hmm.
least. But I'm
Tournament
sure
staple.
Akron, yeah, definitely. I'm pretty sure Akron plays Kent State coming up too, and that's a rivalry. I
Yeah,
love
I think
that.
they play them this weekend, actually. Just
Yep.
kind of looking at everything. Akron,
So,
yeah, I want to say it's Friday, maybe Saturday. Yeah, they play tomorrow. Um, that's going to
oh,
be a good game because that is such an intense rivalry. We've seen players suspended over this rivalry. The
yeah.
As much as Bowling Green Toledo football means in Northwest Ohio,
Oh, yeah.
Kent State Akron babasketball means that much in
Oh,
Northeast
100%.
Ohio.
That's why, like, at Kent State, they're 9-8, or yeah, they're 9-8.
Yep.
I don't think their record really shows who they are, if that makes sense. Like, I don't think Akron should go in there and take them lightly by any means. Plus, like you said, it's a rivalry game. Anything can happen. I would not be shocked. I haven't really watched Akron play, but I wouldn't be shocked if they did lose. And
Okay.
I need them to lose. That's just me saying that because I would love for them to go down to 5-1.
Hmm.
And I don't know. People, for some reason, I was like looking up, who people obviously thought was going to win, and everyone's saying Akron or Toledo pretty much, obviously. But a lot of people are ranking like Ohio and Central and Western Michigan over Bowling Green. I'm not really sure why. I mean, obviously, I can look over here and say, oh, well, they're in the top three. So obviously that, but it's just like,
Right.
just based off of who Bowling Green has beat and who the other teams have lost to. I don't really understand that. Maybe you have a different opinion, but
So
I think Bowling Green is better than all of those teams, and I feel like they do 100% have a opportunity to stay at maybe get to the second seeds.
So
But
I think I think it's going to be really interesting. Bowling Green has not played Toledo
this is
yet.
true.
And obviously they play twice a year. I think they play Akron again later this year. So these games are going to be really interesting as the season wears on. I think it's going to be more about depth than anything else. Because basketball can be such a physical game. You talk about Kent State, they lost a lot of guys from that tournament team a year ago. Jalen
Mhm.
Sullinger is kind of the leader right now. He's averaging almost 15 points a game. Um, but he's playing almost 34 minutes a game. Everybody else is under 30. Most players coming in under 21. So most players coming in less than half of a game. That I mean, I get it. Jalen Sullinger is your go-to guy. He's your junior who played so well a year ago, and he's playing really well this year. But Kent State, I think, is going to take a step back. You talked about Western Michigan. I got it. I posted about people need to be talking about this team. They were 4-0 going into the Akron game, and I thought they played Akron well. They were tied at half with Akron.
Yeah.
And then they came out and they ended up dropping this game, but it's an 11-point game, a game that Akron really should have put away. Seth Hubbard looked really, really good this year, and he's looked good in every single game he's been in. He's averaging 16 and a half points a game. And then defensively, he's more than one steal a game. Like this is a guy who I really think is going to be the glue for this Western Michigan team as they continue down the stretch. They're not used to winning like this. So you have to wonder. They've got a tough stretch ahead too. They've got Bowling Green this weekend.
Oh yeah. That's
Um,
tough.
I think they're going to beat Eastern Michigan. Eastern Michigan does not look good. The Central Michigan game, the next weekend will be tough, but then they travel to Toledo in 2 weeks. They've got such a tough stretch coming up. I'm not going to be shocked to see Western Michigan stumble a little bit, but you and I know this conference. We know it well. What do they always do? They always beat each other up.
Yeah, I'm like, I think it's a fair game, 1 through 5 at least. It's Akron, Toledo, Bowling Green, Western Michigan, Central Michigan. I really don't think you can count Kent State out, but I agree they lost a lot of people. I don't know. It's really interesting on both sides, men and women. I feel like it could really go to anyone in the top 3, 4. Obviously, it's easy to say that, but I don't know. I think Bowling Green can give Akron and Toledo a run for their money.
So I'm gonna
Even if I
ask
didn't
you,
go there.
I'm
Oh
gonna
no.
ask you, just off of the eye test, does this Bowling Green team have the chops to end their NCAA tournament drought dating back to 1968?
I don't know. I could answer that question. Ah, man, it's so hard to be unbiased sometimes.
Answer it
I
however you
see,
want.
I see the 13-4 record, and obviously I've looked up, some of the scores. They haven't played. Their strength of schedule is just not really there. So literally, obviously, for the most part, the literal only reason they would get there is if they won the MAC tournament. I
Mhm.
don't I don't know. I don't
That's
know.
fair. No, that's fair.
There's obviously not really an at-large there. They never seem to give us one, I feel like.
Right. Haven't done that
If
since
there,
the
yeah,
Kent
if
State
there
run.
were some from some like I don't know. Their strength of schedule just I don't want to dog
Yeah.
on my team. 13-4 is impressive for anyone. Like they're all college athletes. They're playing Division 1 college school.
Mhm.
Obviously, that's impressive no matter what. But then
Exactly.
it scares me a bit. I'm like getting into the MAC play more into depth and playing the better teams like Toledo, Western Michigan, all these teams, Akron again. I worry. I guess I don't know if
That's
they have,
fair.
and they can prove me wrong. I'm not talking crap. It's just my opinion. I love Bowling Green. You know how hard it is for me to be honest about how I feel. But
Well, and
I
I
am
think,
happy. I'm happy the way the direction the program is going right now. I'm very
sure.
impressed and I simply cannot complain. It's been fun.
Well, and I think too, when you look at it, this is a program that's rebuilding, and I think Todd Simon is doing a great job with this program and getting them back, righting this ship, right? They're sitting at 4-1 in conference play. You get 18 conference games, so they're what, almost a third of the way through conference play. So
Yeah.
like he's righting the ship, he's getting things going. We're gonna see how tough this Bowling Green team is down the stretch. Again, you've got Toledo twice. Yeah, you've got Toledo
Yeah, we still
twice. You've
have
got
them
Akron
twice.
at least one more time. Like there's some good games ahead that we're gonna see what this BG team is made out of. So I don't want to say, Todd Simon is the build him a statue on campus just yet. but he's got things going the right direction. And I think that is super important.
It is. I love them. I need to go to a game.
We'll make it
So I could
happen.
really answer that question. I'd be like, oh, maybe. It's just a lot easier when you actually go in person to decide that, in my
Yeah.
opinion. I try to follow along, but it's kind of hard here in Cincinnati. So usually I'm just kind of following on my app and getting notifications. And, I see the box score and you can't really tell much from that.
Soon you'll be able to follow along on the mobile MACtion app that I'm getting put
Yes.
together. So
My
I know,
God.
little shameless plug there, my guys.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
So let's move on to Nick Saban retiring. The
Ooh.
legendary Alabama coach has stepped down after 17 years with the Crimson Tide. Quick look at his journey to really college football greatness, all the way here in the Mid-American Conference. Started his college career at Kent State. And I've got some fun facts for you, Jules.
Ooh, fun facts.
Played with the legendary defensive player Jack Lambert.
I did know that because I looked it up.
Played with Gary Pinkel, who went on to coach at Toledo and Mizzou. And he is part of the only Kent State MAC
I did know
championship
that.
team.
I did know that. That was one of my fun facts. You pretty
Look
much
at
hit
you.
all my fun facts. Yeah.
Now another not so fun fact, but just kind of historical context, because I love history. And I think history and kind of discovering history within the conference is important, which will bring us to our next segment, the erasing MAC history.
Don't do that.
Marshall was in the Mid-American Conference twice. I don't know if you knew this or not.
Oh, I did know that. I didn't know it was twice. I knew they were in it at one point.
So they were in the Mid-American Conference twice back in the 60s. They got kicked out for recruiting violations. And then they got readmitted back in the 90s as they were transitioning from FCS to FBS, or 1AA to 1A. So that's a little historical thing for you. Nick Saban was on the team the year Marshall got kicked out of the Mid-American Conference. That happened in 1969.
He was on the team?
He was on the Kent State team the year Marshall.
He was
the Kent State team the year Marshall got kicked out. And then, the unfortunate Kent State massacre, Nick Saban actually helped get students to safety during that. He and Jack Lambert were part of getting students to safety. And then, so there's when you look at that time period within the conference and teams that are going on over in Northeast Ohio, Chuck Ely is on his 35-0 run in the Mid-American Conference, while Nick Saban is at Kent State. Isn't it just kind of crazy to think about?
It's so random because, like, when I went, I think it was my first or second year at Bowling Green, I had no clue that Urban Meyer used to coach at Bowling Green.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's like that Brian Kelly, like not Bowling Green, obviously, but it's just like you just have a lot of these random, really good coaches that like start or like make their way at some point or in the MAC at some point, which is just so crazy to me. And I didn't know that. That's just really cool. Obviously, I knew about Nick Saban, but that's some history I did not know.
Now,
everything you said. That's
some other cool history, because I love
cool
history. Nick Saban, obviously, as you know, coached at Toledo for one season, 1990.
Yep.
Went 9-2, won a MAC championship.
Yes, he did.
Your coach, your Bowling Green coach, Urban Meyer, asked Nick Saban to be on his staff at Toledo, and Saban said no.
Oh.
He applied for a position on Saban's staff, and Saban turned him down back in 1990.
I did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
I know Saban ended up coaching for the Browns after that one season.
He did, with Bill Belichick.
Yeah, I was just about to say with Belichick. Like, these are all just weird. And obviously Belichick is, well, not done. I guess he
left the Patriots after 24 years.
He left the Patriots. That's crazy. He's
So,
interviewing with the Falcons.
Right? It's so
funny.
It's so weird.
Given the context.
But my question to you, What impact would Nick Saban have had if he had stayed at Toledo for more than 1 year? Obviously, as you mentioned, he coached the Browns the year after. How do you think the MAC would have been fundamentally different? A guy like that, would they have said, "Oh, he's in over his head if he applied for a bigger job?" If, what do you think his impact of the Mid-American Conference would have been had he stayed, let's say, 3, 4 years versus just 1 year?
I mean, he came in 1 year and won a co-MAC championship.
Hmm.
Tech.
Yep.
Um, that's impressive. I feel like if he would have stayed, obviously, comparing to other places that he has coached at, let's say Bama, for example, more people are likely to go there just because going to Alabama over anywhere in Ohio is probably more desirable to most people. I've lived in Ohio my whole life. I feel like I can say that. I've never been to Bama, but I imagine it's not as cold. I don't know, geography wise. But I feel like that would have really made better players interested in coming and playing for him, and then let it kind of trickle down to the other MAC schools as well, if that makes any sense. I just feel like he probably would have continued winning, and I don't, which I hate to say because he's a coach for Toledo, but that's impressive to come in your first year and literally win it all. 9-2. I mean, that's impressive to me. I feel like he would just continue to get better
Well,
in that
and
conference. Yeah.
looking at it, Toledo was 6-5 the year before,
Yeah.
5-5-1 the year after.
Oh, wow. So they just came up.
So he literally just planted a MAC championship, just decided what year he wanted to plan a MAC championship. Said,
I
here
feel
you
like
go.
do you think he could have just went to any school and done that? I feel like he
Well,
maybe I don't know the roster of every school that was there, but
I'm looking at the 1998 Toledo team. They finished sixth in the conference. The 1990 or 1989 team finished third in the conference. Ball State won the MAC.
mm,
Um, I think that looking at how competitive the conference was, he probably could have gone to Bowling Green and done it. Probably could have probably won it outright at Central Michigan, if I'm being honest.
yeah.
Could have repeated with Ball State. I mean, the conference, I mean, and I'm looking at the teams Toledo played that year. Um, this Toledo team was actually really, really good. They lost to Central Michigan by a point. They lost to Navy by 4 points.
Yeah, I did see that. Was that their bowl game?
That
Or
was so
their bowl
this is
game?
what's crazy. They did their non-conference schedule later in the year. They played an 8-game conference schedule.
Oh,
Looks like
interesting.
so I'm looking at it right now just because I want to make sure I get it all right. Yeah, they played looks like a 9-game conference or no, 8-game conference schedule and then 3 non-conference games, but I can't tell which one is the non-conference game. Oh, would have been Northern Illinois. They were
Uh,
not in the MAC at the time. So yeah, it looks like so they played Northern Illinois in September as a non-con, and then their last 2 games of the season were Navy and Arkansas State, also non-conference games.
so they only lost to Navy and Central Michigan. That's
Yeah.
all. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
9-2 that year. So do you think that he would have been able to be successful anywhere? I think he would have. I think
I think he
he
would
could have
have.
come
Like,
in anywhere.
yeah, I feel like the thing about the MAC for the most part, and not every year by any means, but it's a pretty level talent playing like a playing field. I mean, you're gonna always have those teams that are up top, but I just feel like it's to that point where he could literally go anywhere, especially at that point in time, and do the same thing.
Sure.
Because one, he's just that good of a coach and has obviously really good coaching staff with him as well. But it's just like players, I don't know, but especially if he would have stayed, players, like I said, would have just continued and wanted to play for him. And I just feel like they would have just continued to dominate. I feel like it would have helped out the conference more and maybe people would have taken them a lot more seriously. I don't know. It's so sad. Why did he only have to do one? I would love to see what would have happened. I'm like, you would think that I would
You
have had
always
like a
wonder.
down effect.
Yeah.
So it's like you have those kids that's like, oh, but I want to beat them. Like we want to beat Toledo. And like obviously Bowling Green, that is like their main goal. Even though they don't do that sometimes. But You would think that it would make recruiting a lot more competitive even, but who knows?
Yeah, I
Who
think
knows?
so.
Never know.
Yeah, you absolutely don't know. But, talking about erasing Mac history a moment ago, this is my hot button topic of the week. So
Oh
I'm
yeah.
glad you get to be on for this because I was I was pretty hot under the collar when this happened. So as you know, and as those listening know, on Twitter this week, a Twitter not follower, just some random Joe Schmo that I decided to pick a fight with, um, made a claim that JJ McCarthy finished with the highest ever win percentage by an NCAA quarterback in the entirety of the history of the NCAA. JJ McCarthy finished 27-1 as a starter, won a national championship. Both impressive. No discredit to JJ McCarthy. I looked at this guy's account and I read through it and I retweeted his thing and I said, "Hey man, actually Chuck Ely went 35-0." And he was like, then he started adding his little caveats. Oh, well, I meant Power Five.
Yeah, you meant that. Like, if you meant that, then originally tweet it, sir.
So
Like
then
that,
I
that.
then I presented him with more information and I said, "Oh, okay. Well, if that's the caveat, then Jimmy Harris actually owns the percentage out of Oklahoma, 25-0." And then he claimed he didn't care and said, "I don't know who these guys are. It doesn't matter."
Oh,
It didn't fit his narrative. That's that. I think you and I have discovered that's how Twitter works. If it doesn't fit somebody's narrative, they shut down. They say, "I don't care." And
it
that's
happened.
when Mac Twitter flamed this guy.
As they
This guy
should.
was burnt to a crisp. But that begs the question, Jules, when you see it, something like this, do you think it matters, or those records kind of get pushed out to the side because the game has evolved? Chuck Ely did that from 69 to 71. I recognize the game was a lot different 50 years ago. Jimmy Harris did it back in the 50s. I recognize the game was a lot different back 70 years ago. Do you think that those records, which are both very impressive, 25-0 and 35-0, records that will probably not be beat by a quarterback at one school, may go and do it at multiple schools with the transfer portal, but I don't think you're going to see that happen, especially in the NIL era, the transfer portal era. You're not going to see those things happen. Do you think that this is a case of, well, those records don't matter as much because the game was different? Or is this just another case of people not caring about the history of not just football, but specifically the MAC?
I think it's a little bit of both because I don't think it's fair to just say, "Oh, well, that was so long ago, it doesn't really matter." Like if you're gonna tweet that, I mean, what did his tweet specifically say? I'm sure it didn't say like in the modern like college football playoff era. If you say that, then sure. Like it's
He
impressive
his
either way.
tweet claimed JJ McCarthy finished with the highest win percentage by an NCAA quarterback in the history of college football.
Yeah. That you're just erasing everything else and anything
Mhm.
to do with the map. People do it all the time. And I'm just like, Maction is great. Don't disrespect Maction, man. I hate when people disrespect it. It's fun football. Just like people will like make comments. It's so annoying when people make comments about like when they find out I'm a Bowling Green fan. Like I
Mhm.
literally, you can say I get it. They're not Power Five. Like, Ohio State fans, they can be like, "Oh, I'm Ohio State fans." No one's gonna question it. I'm a Michigan fan. I like Wisconsin for whatever reason. I hate that because it's like I went there.
Mhm.
It's my school. I mean, I'm not saying you have to go to a school to be a fan, but to me, that's why I'm a fan because I really enjoyed my time there. I gave them a lot of money and I want to represent my school. So
Yeah.
it's just like so frustrating when it's just like constantly being erased, especially like midweek action, man. No, and everyone's like, who cares about that? I'm like, a lot of people actually do care. I don't know why we don't like it's just I just feel like that's just another example of it is people are like, well, it's not my narrative. I don't care about who cares about the Mac. Like, that's not impressive. They're a Mac quarterback. I'm like, they're how, like what? Every
It's
time.
still history. It's still part
Yeah,
of
it's
it.
still history. It's still impressive. They are NCAA Division One. Like
Yeah, it's
that
not even like it was
salute them.
Division 3 or,
Yeah,
no, this is the same level that Ohio State players play. This is the
yeah,
same level that Michigan
like
players play.
yeah. Yep. Hmm.
So, no, I mean, I agree with you. I think there's a lot of People want to push their narratives, they want to push their agendas because they want to make it look like they said the thing that was so profound. People are like, "Whoa, this is amazing." But here's my challenge to those listening, and to those who may listen to this clip because I'm gonna put some of y'all on blast.
Mhm.
Don't erase the conference's history just because it doesn't fit your narrative. Recognize that the entirety of NCAA football, the beauty of it is that it's evolved so much. So much has changed. So many great historical events have happened. And part of the me getting hot under the collar about Chuck Ely was because, again, Toledo guy, and I recognize that. But I can honestly say, had it been any other MAC quarterback, I would have been equally as frustrated because you are telling me that you view the MAC as less, and that may be the case, and I get people view the MAC as less. Stop. Listen, and recognize that, hey, just because it's not a Big Ten team or an SEC team doesn't mean that it didn't happen, and it doesn't make it any less special. So that is my challenge to those listening. Recognize the accomplishments of other conferences. Just because your conference didn't do it doesn't mean that it doesn't matter.
Yeah, period.
All right, my last topic here, we've got the transfer portal.
I have thoughts on it. I
Go
just don't
ahead. I
where
will
I
I will
stand.
let you lead this one.
Oh no, I think you should lead it because I don't know how to lead it. Like I literally was like, oh my God. As you know, I'm a very neutral person. I want
Yes.
people to have fun. I don't want to step on toes.
Hope both teams have fun.
I do. Not Toledo though. Sorry. Like it was like Toledo versus Miami. Like it wasn't a MAC champion. Nah, man. I don't know who
Yeah,
to
that had
choose.
to be the worst for BG fans to
Yeah, like
watch.
that was
You're like,
terrible
these
for
are
me.
the
I
two
was
teams
like,
we hate more than anything on this planet.
yeah, I'm like,
And we
you
just don't
both,
want anybody to win.
yeah, like not a fan of y'all at all. Like,
Do you think the
ever.
transfer portal is destroying or has destroyed college athletics? I'm going to tell you, I'll be honest with you. I think with as open as it has been, it's destroying college athletics. I think and I don't have a problem with a player saying, "Hey, this school isn't a good fit for me. I, as a traditional student, am allowed to transfer whenever I want, however many times I want." I have no problem with that. My issue is that we have opened this up to such a thing that we have eliminated this idea that the student athlete is actually still a student, partly because of the NIL, partly because of their ability to make money. They realize now I can go to another school, a Power Five school, and collect a bag, which, hey, I'm all for. I have 1,000% supported players receiving compensation for putting their bodies on the line every single week. I'm all for that. My concern is that now this, because of how lawless the NIL is, how lawless the transfer portal is, college athletics will never be the same again. We will never see runs like I mentioned with Jimmy Harris or Chuck Ely, where a quarterback or a running back accomplishes something their entire career at one school anymore. And I think there's a problem with that.
Yeah, no. I I honestly am not shocked by your take because I think you probably thought maybe I would disagree. I don't really disagree with you. I'm not a huge fan of it, and I think NIL is the biggest issue as well.
Mhm.
It just like I can see both sides. Like on one hand, I think it's sending the wrong message to people that are watching to them, to the little kids, the fans, whoever, when it comes to deciding this, like making a decision, sticking to it, and the loyalty to your school. Obviously, sometimes things come up. Maybe you don't get the playing time you think you deserve. Maybe you don't like the coach. Maybe you don't get along with your teammates. Obviously, that's why I like hate to be like, oh, I hate it, and everyone's just doing it for money. But I can see both sides of that. Maybe they're just not comfortable there. Or maybe they want to move back closer to home. I know there's a lot of people who have done that too, where they go
Mhm.
to they play at, let's say, like Oregon, like a bigger in women's basketball specifically. I'm thinking of a player who transferred, I believe, to Oregon to Indiana actually to be closer to home.
Well,
And
we saw Bryant Kovac do that for Toledo a few years ago.
yeah,
Transferred back from Kentucky because his family's from Holland, Ohio. Transferred back to Toledo because I think there was family medical
yeah,
emergency. I am fine with that.
like
That is a
I get
great
it,
thing.
but it also makes it tough on the coaches too, because you're gonna like recruit, get some highly recruited freshmen on your team. And like, yeah, I got it. But now not only do you have to recruit those people, but now you have to get them to stay.
You have to re-recruit them
So
every year.
yeah, you really do. And you have to build those personal relationships with each player, which should already be a thing. But I feel like that just puts a lot more pressure on the coaches as well, because then they're also looking at the transfer portal. Like they're trying to recruit from there, but also trying to recruit from high school and everywhere else. And I just like feel like I just don't like it. I really, I'm not a fan of it. If you, question, because I wasn't really clear. It wasn't really clear for me because I know they've made a few changes to the transfer portal dating back to not too long ago. Like,
Yeah.
If you, let's say I transfer to Toledo and then I'm like, yeah, no, screw it. And then I transfer to like Ohio.
Sure.
If you transfer a second time, don't you still have to sit out, or am I wrong?
You now have to sit out a year,
Okay.
from how I understand it. I
So
think there are waivers that you can apply for.
okay.
Part of it, I think I wish, and I think really where we're seeing a lot of the issues is you gave everybody a COVID year, which that's fine.
Yeah.
I get that. But that's when you also popped open the lid to NIL. That's
Oh
when you
yeah.
also popped open the lid to the unlimited transfers at the time. We'd seen guys transfer 4 or 5 times.
That's crazy. At that point, you're just doing it for money. I mean, whatever, get your bag, like you said, but it's also like, even just as a fan, we lose multiple players each year, then get people, then recruit people. And I'm like, I don't even know the names anymore because we get like millions of new people, it feels like, every year in UCAM. And, it's just frustrating because it's the bigger and the richer programs, like the bigger schools, Power Five schools, that are obviously benefiting way more from this. And they're taking some of our players. I'm like, to me, and obviously, if I could take money, I would. But at the same time, like, and I played in high school. I didn't play in college, okay? So this could be irrelevant. But I love sports. I love watching them. I love playing them. To me, I would rather play actually than make a bunch of money. Like, I would rather be loyal and play. And let's say you're not, whatever, that's a different situation. But if it was me and I was playing and I was happy where I would rather stay there, make some money from it, than go somewhere else like LSU, Bama, make some NIL things. Because let's be honest, if I was a college athlete right now, I'd probably be doing that because I'm big on social media in general. So like, I would be making bank off of that if I was an athlete. But it's like, then you go places and you don't play. Like, what's important to you? TikTok or playing time, getting better?
And that brings up the next point. The group of 5, the MAC, the Sun Belt, the American Athletic, the, Conference USA and the Mountain West have now become essentially a farm system for the Power 5 because of this. And that is really my issue. I have no problem with a player realizing, hey, there's an opportunity for me to get more exposure to improve drafts, stock, whatever. I support that. I hate that we are now seeing coaches actively recruit players who are at these schools, and there's tampering going on. I can't prove it, so I don't want to accuse anybody of it. But anybody with 2 brain cells to rub together understands there is active portal tampering going on. There are Power 5 coaches that are actively recruiting group of 5 players who are excelling within their school, within their conference. They are actively recruiting them. They are luring those guys to the portal, and they are snatching them out of the portal. That's where I think it's wrong. I think the portal, we could talk about this for an hour, and we're not going to, but we could talk about this for an hour. And it's such a frustrating thing as a fan. My last big thing on this is I think in-conference transfers should not be allowed. We saw it happen a couple times. Tyler Cochran transferred from Northern Illinois to Ball State, and then now he's at Toledo. Nyla Hampton transferred from Bowling Green to Ball State. I get it when your coach leaves. I support you transferring when your coach leaves. I don't think in-conference transfers should be okay. What's your thoughts?
I think should have never changed the rules, because I believe, and I could be wrong again, I'm not a genius by any means. I don't know every portal rule, but if I'm correct, it used to be if it's interconference, you would have to sit out a year. And now it's not. Now just
and
the
that's
same
not the
for
case
both.
anymore.
Like,
yeah, Nyla's playing this year.
And I'm just like, I don't love it. I really don't. It's just hard because of course, especially with me, like whatever I say, someone's gonna, come at me for it. So please don't. I'm sensitive. I'm a sensitive person. I get if you recruit because maybe your coach leaves or you just simply don't like it. I get it.
Hmm.
We've all had our fair share of bad coaches or people you just simply just don't feel like you belong. I get it. But it's definitely frustrating to see that, especially because like I would have beef with someone if they transferred to Toledo. I'm not a fan of that, especially like a rival. And I get some people it might not be that deep, but it kind of is. I don't know. It'd be kind of weird.
It is when you're in a rivalry. I get it. Like you feel like there's a layer of extra motivation to want to beat them now that they've left you. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you've left us, so we're gonna
Those who
make you pay for
stay.
that.
That's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say. I'm excited for football, man. I mean, I was a little afraid with the portal and everything, but I'm glad that everybody that's returning is, the standard is to, at least to me, and it seems like, in all their little messages and stuff, like they're very hungry for the MAC
Hmm.
championship. I think this year could be a lot of fun. I know we're more talking basketball and everything else. I just wanted to put that in there that
Sure.
I'm gonna make my predictions and I'm gonna see Ford Field next year again. Or not, no, it's
As
this
a
year.
as a
Oh
fan,
yeah,
right?
as a fan of the Bowling Green Falcons who will be playing in the MAC championship. I don't know who they'll be playing. Will be playing. Promise you that. They will be there. That is the standard this season. That is the standard this season, and you can clip this and you can send it to the BG football team themselves. That is the standard. That is the expectation. We are not losing the MAC. There is no excuse. Please stay healthy. Anyways, I will if it takes me never going to a game because I'm bad luck. And don't take that seriously. I still want to come to games. Don't take that too serious, but I will risk it all because they're winning the MAC and we're going to see a bowl game win as well. And I'm very excited. Bahamas Bowl, perhaps, whenever they're done. That.
You guys heard
Oh,
it
yeah.
here first. Jules with the way too early 2024 football prediction. The Bowling Green Falcons are going to go undefeated and win a national
Oh, yeah.
championship.
Pretty much. They might
That's
as
what
well.
Jules just said.
I looked, they play Penn
Uh,
State. Oh, and I was looking, I'm like, I
That'll
kind
be
of want
fun.
to go.
In Happy Valley. Yeah. That'll be a fun one. We do need to address one question though. We had
Oh,
somebody
God.
ask for your favorite food
Oh,
spots in Bowling Green.
oh.
You
Okay.
being the Bowling Green expert, I know we've talked about
Notes
some of the
this.
places I love to go to when I'm in BG, but what are some of those must-eat places down there in Falcon Country?
Oh, God. So people are going to flame me for this. Okay.
Probably.
I'm not, first of all, I haven't been to Bowling Green. It's been a minute. And my sister goes there, but she doesn't do much sometimes. So I don't know. She might go to some good places. I should have asked her. But my personal favorites when I attended the Bowling Green State University. I'm never gonna say that again. Bowling Green State University. I don't want to sound like an Ohio State fan. Gross. I have to say, in no specific order, Beckett's Burger Bar, whatever the full name technically is. I
Yep.
love that place. It is very
Beckett's
good.
is fantastic.
Beckett's is fire.
Beckett's
And if
Burger Bar
you
and
don't want to
Barrel
sponsor
Room.
me, low key you can. Sam B's is also really good.
Samby's is great.
Oh, it's fire. I feel like I would literally be robbed if I didn't say Polly Eyes, which is good.
Oh
Obviously
yeah.
known for their stuffed breadsticks. Oh my God. It's so good. I love these places. Ah man. And I would say, hmm, I went to Mr. Spots a few times.
I like Mr. Spots a
I
lot.
like it. I like it.
Okay.
I like it. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Okay.
I've heard, and I will say, and you can yell at me, I have not been to Easy Street Cafe, but I've heard really, 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 really good things about it. You would think, to
Been
be
there.
fair, in my defense, 2 years almost of my college experience was online. So I wasn't even in Bowling Green for a lot of that time.
Right.
So COVID hit, so it couldn't even go to a lot of places. I also have to say El Zarape is really good.
El Zarape's good. Yep.
Oh, yeah. Oh, what's another one? Another one. Hmm.
Give
There's
me
a
one
few like
more, and then I'll let people flame you on Twitter for your
oh
food
God,
takes.
one more, one
One
more.
more. You get one more.
Oh man, one more. What's
You
another?
you could say
I'm trying to think of
insomnia.
something
It's
that's,
food.
I mean, that's DP Dough. That's a staple.
Yep.
I always go
Yep.
there. I always went to DP Dough. That place was fire.
Great
Especially when I was
place.
like remote classes. I would have a class like 6 to like 9. The worst, by the way. That is illegal. You should not have a class from 6 to 9. It is a crime. I'm not paying attention. No one's paying attention. Stop doing that. Colleges. I would like go between my like 4:45 class to my 6 class. Like I would do pickup and I would just go there and then just be eating like during my remote classes. So good.
I
Oh,
love
I
it.
love DP Dough, man. It's
I love
fire.
it.
I
I
need
love it.
your top restaurants that you've been to.
Well, I mean, you've listed off quite a few of them already. The did you ever eat at the Clay Pot Bistro?
I don't know what that is. Where
I
is
like
that?
that.
Is it new?
It's I don't know
Or am
how
I
new it is.
blind?
But it's on Main Street.
Really? I feel
Yeah.
like there's so many hidden places.
Oh yeah, Bowling Green has so many hidden
It's
places.
like really hidden like gems kind of thing. Also, I just like didn't do anything besides like go to the bars and go to football games, but like or I was in Cleveland half the time going to basketball games. I was a mess in college. I will admit.
I really liked Call of the Canyon. It's a little cafe,
I
kind of
I've never been.
southwestern kind of food.
I go back and want to go there. It looks good.
Yeah, that one was good. Polly Eyes, again, a staple
Mhm.
of Bowling Green. You have to include Polly Eyes whenever you go down there.
Nice.
Um, I did, like I mentioned, I loved I loved so many different things. I love Mr. Spots. Mr. Spots is great. BG Burgers is really good. And I forget who does it. The but they do an Ale Ziggy Zumba. It's a beer that's really, really good. And I forget who does it. Coach Tomich got me onto that. Um,
I was a vodka cran girly. I would go to the
okay.
bar, I'll get that, or like
But I also love Beckett's Bar. That was another one. But those are my staples. But you're the BG girl, so I'm letting people flame you for
oh yeah, please
your
flame me
food
out.
opinions.
I need to try more because I'm one of those people where if I like something, that is my place and I will go there
Yep.
a lot. I am not a big trying new things kind of girly. I'm getting more into it. Like Cincinnati, I've lived here for a little over a year and I routinely go to the same places. But this weekend, I am trying more places in Covington.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you
So I'm
go.
excited.
Well, Jules, as we kind of wrap this up, go ahead and plug your socials. Where can people find you on social media? Talk about that real quick, and yeah, just kind of run that down.
All right, if you want to see bad, really basic, not that informative of takes, I'm your girl. I hope both teams have fun, not Toledo, not really Miami most of the time. I make it easy for everybody. It's at not so cool. Yes, not so cool Jules on Instagram, on Twitter. And if I decide to ever post on TikTok again, you can find me there as well. I love that. It's an easy at name. It flows. It's easy to remember. And go Falcons. That's what I gotta say. I'm a super fan. There's not a bigger fan than me. And Bowling Green is winning the MAC championship in every sport of all time.
Well, Jules, thank you so much for joining me this week. Kind of offering your perspective as a BG fan on of the Mid American Conference. I cannot overstate how much I appreciate you taking your time this week to join me. But guys, I think that's going to do it for us this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, a big shout out to Jules for hopping on this week. I really, really appreciate it. You can check us out on social media at the MSC Podcast on Instagram, on Twitter X, over on YouTube. Going to be adding more stuff, more content there soon at the MSC Podcast. You guys will find me there doing some more content there soon. On Facebook at the Max Sports Connection Podcast for anybody in the age range 60 and up. We are on Facebook as well. So please, please, please check us out on all social media platforms. I greatly appreciate it. You guys are the best. Looking forward to bringing you more content. Got a few things with the NFL we're going to wrap up soon as the Super Bowl draws near. Talk about the players in the Super Bowl from the Mid-American Conference. Looking forward to breaking that down for you guys. Thank you so very much for tuning in, and we will see you next week.